is the 400th anniversary of the death of William Shakespeare. And if the source I read is to be believed, he was also born apparently on this day. Well, there's some debate about that, but people assume he was born on the same date that he died, based off the date that he was christened, which people are dating 2 days after he seemingly or apparently was meant to have been born. So I was looking on my shelf to see what Shakespeare books I have. I'm sure I have one of like sonnets somewhere, unless that's someone else's. I might try and find that in a bit. But for now, and I'm sorry about the background noise, even though I'm kind of probably only really apologising to myself. I'm doing this for my own education, really, and amusement, kind of experimentation, just to try out this mic. Anyway, sorry, that's by the by. So, it being, I say, whether it's Shakespeare's birthday or not, the thing we do know for a fact is that, yes, he did die on this day 400 years ago. So, I have a book of his poems here, taken from a box set of poetry that my parents got me one Christmas. And I might just try doing a reading of something short from it. I mean, you've got to tip your hat in some way, right? So, looking at the contents, these seem to be all from his sonnets, selected sonnets, which apparently published in 1609. So let's read one. Maybe find the first. Sonnet 1. Just let me move the mic a little bit. Sorry. From fairest creatures we desire increase, that thereby beauty's rose might never die. But as the riper should by time decease, his tender air might bear his memory. But thou, contracted to thine own bright eyes, feedst thy light's flame with self-substantial fuel, making a famine where abundance lies. Thyself thy foe, to thy sweet self too cruel. Thou that art now the world's fresh ornament, and only herald to the gaudy spring, within thine own bud buryest thy content, and, tender churl, makest waste in neglecting. Pity the world, or else this glutton be, to eat the world's due, by the grave and thee. So, I'm not going to pretend that I understood all of that. I mean, as you might imagine, there's a few archaic words which you don't really hear anymore, so I'd have to look those up. Just hang on. Computer is doing something I don't want it to do, and that's better. But there's a couple of lines in there which really kind of resonated with me. I don't know, just because of what's in the back of my mind at the moment, I suppose. This first one, what is it? Feeds thy light's flame with self-substantial fuel, making a famine where abundance lies. Thyself thy foe, to thy sweet self too cruel. I mean, I'd say it resonates with me because it's things I'm struggling with at the moment. especially on this day, but yeah, let's carry on a bit. 2. When 40 winters shall besiege thy brow, and dig deep trenches in thy beauty's field, thy youth's proud livery, so gazed on now, will be a tattered weed of small worth held. Then being asked where all thy beauty lies, or all the treasure of thy lusty days, to say within thine own deep sunken eyes were an all-eating shame and thriftless praise. How much more praise deserved thy beauty's use, if thou could answer, this fair child of mine shall sum my count and make my old excuse, proving his beauty by succession thine. This word to be new made when thou art old, and see thy blood warm when thou feelst it cold. Sorry, I'm gonna have to stop and get a drink in a minute. I've been quite dehydrated for a while, and I don't know about you. And again, I'm probably only really speaking to myself here. But in case I'm not, I don't know about you. Sorry. But yeah, I have a bad habit when I need a drink of putting it off. It's getting distracted. But anyway, I was getting generally distracted there during that one, so I was aware of still this background gardening ambience. Leather's face is probably outside swinging his chainsaw or something. Oh, there we go again. So, should we read one more and then maybe stop and have a drink and then maybe come back? 3. Look in thy glass and tell the face thou viewest, now is the time that face should form another, whose fresh repaireth now thou not renewest. Thou dost beguile the world, and bless some mother. Where is she so fair, who unearned womb disdains the tillage of thy husbandry? Or who is he so fond, will be the tomb of his self-love to stop posterity? Thou art thy mother's glass, and she in thee calls back the lovely April of her prime. So thou through windows of thine age shall see, despite of wrinkles, this thy golden time. But if thou live, remember not to be die single, and thine image dies with thee. Wow. Again, like parts of the first one, that's resonating quite deeply with me. And I'm trying to remember back to like A-level English here, but right, as far as I remember it, Shakespeare wrote these for a young man he was corresponding with, or he knew, or they sound like words of advice to someone younger. Or maybe Shakespeare's, or you presume, yeah, he's, as you do, to tell him maybe what he would have told his younger self even as well. I don't know, it's my speculation anyway. Should we read one more? Just one more, then get a drink? Okay. So, I say this is the selected sonnets, so we're skipping some out here. The one I've just read was 3, and the one on the next page is 5, so I'll have to look. I'm sure I have a full book of these, or maybe I'm confusing it with this. I don't know. I should get them all at some point. Anyway, 5. Those hours that Those hours that with gentle work did frame the lovely gaze where every eye doth dwell, what play the tyrants do the very same, and that unfair which fairly doth excel. For never resting time leads summer on to hideous winter and confounds him there. Sap checked with frost and lofty leaves quite gone, beauty o'ersnowed and bareness everywhere. Then were not summer's distillation left, a liquid prisoner pent in walls of glass. Beauty's effect with beauty were bereft, nor it nor no remembrance what it was, but flowers distilled, though they with winter meet, least but their show, their substance still lives sweet. Again, one went a bit past me for now, but that's fine. It's often how it goes with reading poetry. Again, distracted by the fact that I need to rehydrate myself. I know we keep saying this, but honestly, this will be the last one that we're reading for now. So, 8, again. This is the order they appear in this book. Music to hear, why hear'st thou music sadly? Sweets with sweets will not, joy delights in joy. Why lov'dst thou that which thou receivest not gladly, or else receivest with pleasure thine annoy? If the true concord of well-tuned sounds, by unions married, do offend thine ear, they do but sweetly chide thee, who confounds in singleness the parts that thou shouldst hear. Let's rewind a bit, sorry, I'm not reading this very well. If the true concord of well-tuned sounds, by unions married, do offend thine ear, they do but sweetly chide thee, who confounds in singleness the parts that thou shouldst bear. Mark how one string, sweet husband to another, strikes each in each by mutual ordering, resembling sire and child and happy mother, who all in one pleasing note do sing, whose speechless song, being many, seeming one, sings this to thee, thou single wilt prove none. Very interesting. I mean, aside from, there's a conceit about music and harmony and related things in there, but again, like in number 3, talking about single, or maybe is it suggesting being single or being alone, that really thou single wilt prove none, saying, if you can't live in a vacuum, no man is an island, and all that kind of thing. Food for thought. Again, I say, kind of timely to me in a way as well. Some of the things have been playing on my mind in recent times. Anyway, it's just about to turn 4:15. The date, just for reference in case you forget, or you'll look again later, is the 23rd of